gentlemen, welcome to WyrdHoard, where we take different words and we diagnose. How do you define this, Kyle?
Well, the word word and hoard, I guess, obviously they're two words, but combined together to mean the girth or the drake, which is to be unlocked, if you will, unlocked on someone. Beowulf, he claimed that once his word hoard was unlocked, he could speak with elegance. But I think this term goes back quite a distance into the story of the account of Eden, as we have the tree of knowledge, where the Inky, the serpent, the snake, the Kasem, the Nakash, all the same word, basically all the same meaning, just in different cultures, was the guardian of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and if you will, of judgment. And it is from this tree that it has been unlocked, this knowledge, this hoarding, that only God should hoard and dispense appropriately. It was given to mankind by mankind, if you will, or the ultimate supreme nature of mankind, that is Lucifer, to say that you can handle what God holds, and we know that that's not true. It becomes judgment itself upon us to hold what God holds. Therefore, when one holds the word hoard in total, one is confused. One is dispensed both with the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, one is laden with judgment to others and for oneself.
I see. So we're using the word hoard in a more of a context aside from just like a horde of, like I think like a horde of angry Saracens coming down down the pike.
Well, in a sense, you could probably tie that in as, like, say, legion. There are the vagaries of thought that the man had at Gadara whenever Jesus cast out legion into the swine, which, again, that's an answer for the Persephone myth, which we've discussed, or I will discuss with you way later. But this legion or horde would be that. It would be the mass rushing of legion or ideas that plague the mind. One could go that route.
Which is kind of perfect for our podcast, because we're going to be delving into all these different words.
Oh, yeah.
And, quite literally a horde of words.
Yes.
So why are we spelling it with a Y?
Well, that would be the Anglo-Saxon version. Obviously, I think it's the more correct version. But, it's to bring out the origin of whenever we say the word word or spell the word word, to bring it to account as, well, wait a minute, we say, or we spell W-O-R-D, O-R-D.
Right.
Why is it spelled this way? Why are you writing this down this way? Why are you speaking weird? What does that mean? Well,
you pronounce it differently just there.
Mm-hmm, yeah, as the Anglo-Saxon, weird just means that which is wielding, that which is of the Weirding sisters. We have a reference of the Weirding sisters, or the wielders, in the story of Macbeth. Shakespeare knew all too well the mythology of the Norns, or the Fates, or the wielding sisters, the weirding ones.
And that's where we get our word weird in modern English as well, right?
Yeah, but we are so far removed at this point, and whenever we say that, especially in the American culture, we say someone is just simply strange. And that itself has its own root. We get into the concept of the strega, the Italian strega. They were considered to be the people who were ostracized from the Vatican. They were the ones in Italy that were pushed out of Rome. They were pushed out of that religious sanctum and into the mountains, and they became the montañeros of Rome. As we know that the Vatican was surrounded by 7 hills. Rome is surrounded by 7 hills. The people who were believers in God and even still retained their belief in God, yet they were pushed into the mountains and they became herbalists. And hence we get the word pharmacopoeia, the people who studied the toxicities.
Pharmacists.
The pharmacists, the pharma.
It's so interesting how you're looking at like the words weird and strange, and in our modern English, they're completely synonymous in a lot of contexts.
Yes.
And here you're taking the origins, and that's kind of the purpose of our podcast, right, is to look at these different words and understand that there's this long history for each one of these words that traces down the origins of time.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm really careful about, I don't like to moralize words. And God bless Daniel Webster. I love the man. He did a great treatment for the English language, the American language. But we tend to moralize, and we'll get into this later, but I love to keep the words that we study, untouched. As Aristotle said, let's watch the thing as it is and let it go as it is. Do not touch, do not interfere with its action. So
can you expound upon that a bit more?
Yeah, just as in etymology, as in philology, if we study the language, the history of languages, we're looking at the words as they are and how they came to be, the morphology, the morphing of that word, and to moralize it, to make anything, let's say even judgment, the word judgment, a moralized sense for us is to do that word great injustice. And again, for me, the word wielding has been a segue word to the study of judgment. There's been much dissension within the churches to the judgment of God. What does it mean? I said, which one are you referring to? So I'm not handing to anything in terms of I don't believe in the judgment of God because I believe there are many types of judgments, but let's make sure we categorize correctly so that we can see the moral outcome of the message of God versus us moralizing a word that doesn't need to be moralized.
Moralized in what sense?
Okay, like say the word pagan. Look at the word pagan. It was never a moralized word. Paganus means someone who's on a different page, hence the word page.
So you're saying paganus. Pagan wasn't initially designed to be a word signifying something bad?
Yeah.
Wow.
Heathen, the one who lives on the heath, the one who lives in the uncultivated plains. Roman Polanski did a wonderful film on Macbeth.
Yeah, I love Polanski. Hate his, where he went.
Well, yeah, exactly. We're not referring to him as any of our spiritual mentors, but you see them on the beach. You see them really the idea of them on the heath, the uncultivated place, the place where there is no cultivation, just blank space. When you look at the word villain, the initial word for it was a villager. I mean, it's had nothing to do with the villain. Now, later on, the connotations came, the connoting, if you will, where somebody lived out of the house or the domicile of the master. You look at it goes on and on, but we have. We moralize these terms, but the origin comes from some other place.
And we're gonna hone exactly the purpose of the podcast as we go. I'm sure this is our first episode, which is kind of why we're focusing on the word. Yeah. It's literally in our title, WyrdHoard, and it's kind of the focus of our entire study.
Right.
But I really love the fact that right off the bat, we're looking at the words in their naked context through the portals of history to the origin of it, and without the morality that we've added to it over the course of time. Can you give a couple more examples of words that have done that? Like that we've taken morals and suddenly changed them up?
Well, I think I love this one. Well, the word nice. I mean, this is a really good example of one.
That's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've discussed this before. So I'm going to, let's be nice about this one. Nice. So if I ask you, somebody is a nice person, what would you say? I'm just being.
As an
American.
As an American, I'd be like, okay, well, harmless, friendly, kind, unassuming.
Boom. You got it. You got it. So and I would agree with that. That would be the modern day, usage of the word, and you'd be appropriate to say he's a nice person or she's a nice person, that they're pleasant, agreeable. Matter of fact, today's Webster Standard or American Heritage, the first meaning would be nice. For nice would be the word pleasant or agreeable. Well, going back into its origin. Ne scios, ne meaning no, in Latin, scios meaning science. Nescere.
Don't know.
Yeah. So it means to have no knowledge. where we get the word natal, nascent.
Right.
It means as a baby, to not know. So again, it wasn't moralized. It just simply meant you don't know. You're ignorant. So at best, you'd be saying in the original bank of meaning, where the gold really does lie in the bank to back up the word, the person has no knowledge.
Is that why they're nice, maybe?
That's why they're nice, because they can be agreeable with you all of their life, and you never have an argument with them. In terms of the mental disposition, they're pleasant and agreeable. If somebody is truly that and holds that as stative, you are being pleasant and agreeable for no reason other than you have nothing to argue. But Shakespeare brought the word into meaning a little bit to say that if somebody's pleasant and agreeable, watch out, because they have a knife waiting for you to put in your back, because there is no persona that holds that status again. That is not a stative word. You don't just stay nice. There's a point of growth. As in a baby grows up, so does a, quote, nice person with you. We meet, we begin to hang out, and then I notice that, you smell, and you notice that I smell after a few days, and then we go on, and then if we grow on to be friends, and then I say that we need I need a roommate because whatever, and then we're going to have some disagreements, and we're going to have some arguments. This is a natural sense of friendship.
And that's how you eventually know the person is real, as opposed to just being nice.
Hence the word know. But if I stayed in the stative form, ne scare, that means I would never know. I would always be pleasant and agreeable. So if I'm never arguing with you, after 20 years, and I've never had an argument, we've never had a fight, something's wrong.
There's no knowledge within our relationship. So I wish more married couples realize that.
right on. Well, that's right. And so that's a word that has become, in my opinion, held in the bank or the cauldron of words by today's standard, without the gold to back up. And so whenever we say somebody's nice, it doesn't hold weight.
Yeah.
Because everybody grows.
Sure.
Everybody's changing. Everybody does acquire knowledge. This is a day and age where we are constantly being inundated by information. You are growing. You are knowing. You are learning, no matter who you are.
Do you think that's why it's harder to be nice in modern culture, or what is the reason behind that? Maybe that's part of the reason.
And yet at the same time, you're if you want to keep your job, you've got to be nice.
Yeah.
So it puts on a fraudulent face, and so.
I see that down south too, specifically. Coming down here, everybody's so polite.
Yeah.
You go up north. There's a joy and a refreshing quality to the honesty up there when somebody cuts you off in lane or speaks truth to you very harshly when you're being,
and then guns kind of flying. It's a different type of paganism. In the immoral sense, really. In
the immoral sense of the word paganism, like what we talked about earlier. Okay.
Versus the amoral. Paganus or pagan. So we yes, and that's another thing we'll come to, is the amoral sense versus the immoral. The other word that I wanted to get was the word judgment, and I kind of referred to the master reference would be Professor J.R.R. Tolkien. And in his book or his addressment, Monsters and the Critics to Oxford. He really did his research with two words, lof and dome, in the Anglo-Saxon. Lof meaning that which is leof, that which is lifted up high. It's the pagan's hope. It has nothing to do with heaven in the sense of we hope that Jesus will save us, or that God will save us so that we're going to have life everlasting. It is leof. Lof means that which is lofty, lifted up in this life, so people will look up to you. And when you die, you hope that many people will be at your funeral. That's it.
That's the word lofty?
Yeah. And so the word dome is what I'm really referring to, what I want to get to. But lof and dome, they came hand in hand. So a man of noble birth, or a noble king, or one who's acquired the title of king, looks for those two terms as his register, or his herald, if you will, to his name, Loth and Dome. Dome means judgment. Domicile, you wouldn't think it means it the same at first, but domicile, dominion, domestication, doom, all the same word. Judgment, as Professor Tolkien said, dome is judgment. Now, this goes back to Wyrd. So when the master of the house, now check this out, I'm going to recap everything I just got through saying. The master of the house, who has the domicile, who domesticates all in the government or the village, coming from his home, his domicile, speaks the word, and the word goes out. It is law, all right? So all that is said by the king is doom. It is judgment. It is the word. It is the law. Hence we get the word federal, father, pater, government.
Yeah.
Federal government goes to metropolis, mater, mother.
Mater, metropolis.
Matrix.
Mother,
yes.
matrix, yeah. Okay.
Which goes to the infants, infantry, or in without font to speak or to have any words. Infantry
the babies
are the people who don't have the words to speak. They do. They listen. Hence the word infantry. Yeah. They don't have the title yet to speak for themselves.
The kids just take orders. The kids don't order.
Take orders.
Yeah, I got you.
Pedestrian, pedos, the little footers, the one who walk in the village and in the home. The villains, of course, the ones who live in the village. The paganus, the ones, the people that are like in another country. They're on another page. And the heathens, the Hythenro, they're the ones that live in the uncultivated plains, not to even be addressed. But coming back to the house, the domicile, one is under the terms of the father's house, the domicile. So you are free from speaking as a peasant, but you are bound to the wielding, Wyrd, of the king. And so you speak his words under his herald, under his emblazon, and you abandon, or you are free from speaking, stabbing others behind their back, and I hate to say it, the gossip language that maybe the peasant class uses in the kitchen.
Right.
Or in the pigsty.
Because you're speaking under the Wyrd of the king.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is that the peasant class is still under the dominion of the master.
There's that word again, dome. And what does that mean? Just again, clear?
Judgment.
Judgment is dome. That's the word doom. Now, why is doom?
Well, I wanted to get to something real quickly.
Go for it.
So the peasant class is still under the protection. They're still receiving of the gifts of the king. They're still protected and loved and still looked over by the king. They haven't been outcasted. They're still loved. You see what I'm saying? Though that they are separate in word, in wielding Wyrd, they are still a part of this function. So you might even be a, quote, pagan brought in. You might even be a heathen brought in as a servant, as a doula, under the domicile, under the judgment, but you're not judged, damned out. You're brought in under the judgment. So this is just a color of the word judgment that's not moralized, as we have moralized so many people and have judged so many people, quote, judged, good or evil, which is itself the curse of the Garden of Eden.
Right.
That's how they outcast themselves. They judge good and evil, not just evil.
You're saying the reason, part of the reason why we're cast out of the garden, part of our sin is that we're assuming.
Yes.
We assume the role of God. And that's literally what the serpent said, isn't it? That we shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
That's it.
Knowing good and evil, and that's the judgment.
Yeah.
So that's why words are so important, because right at the very beginning of time, we've kind of doomed ourselves because we've spoken incorrectly.
Absolutely. and it's interesting too, and as we go back to, say, Shemitic or Sumerian or Akkadian, and or Akkadian, terms. Nakash, the Hebrew, Kasam, the first word that I believe was used for the word witch in Akkadian and Hebrew, which means that which is a witch, that which persuades, that which causes to be moved one way or the other. And Nakash is the word snake. It actually has its root within Kasam, depending how you're using the sentence. But it moves left, right, left, right, left, right, good, bad, good, bad.
Right.
As a snake moves, Nog, you might have heard of Nog and Nagina in Rikki Tikki Tavi, the two cobras.
Yeah, okay. Nog and Nagina. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the Sanskrit for snake.
Just so you guys know, that's a Rudyard Kipling story that you should totally read for homework by next week.
Yes, exactly. It's a beautiful story. I had one of my favorites when I was a child. But the snake moved left, right, zigzag, zigzag, going into the garden where people were relaxed without judgment to anything other than being under the judgment, under the Word of God.
The Word, literally the Word of God, yeah.
And therefore they were under judgment. They were under the domicile, same word, judgment and dome. And they lived appropriately, and everything was adequate.
And the snake comes in and gives his own word, and he's going left, right, left, right?
The snake moves in, left, right, gives his own word, as you said, perfect, well said, and they buy into that. Let's just keep it simple, and they move zigzag out. Motion goes in, motion goes out, and they move zigzag. That motion is another type of judgment. Yeah, and so that is the words for witch, and we see that as in the story of Inanna and Enki. It was when Enki, being the serpent, I believe this is a Sumerian account of Adam, of Eve and the serpent talking. Enki being most highly beloved at one time, I believe, angel of God, who fell. And if you read the story of Inanna and Enki, Inanna being the great mother of all, the great mother of all living.
This is a Sumerian story. It sounds just like our Genesis account, though.
She was, exactly right. Enki gave her the gifts to make her both be honest and to be a liar, to make peace and to make war. And so you have this page after page after page after page of her acknowledgement of his gifts of confusion, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. So she was the queen of confusion. She took on the mantle. She received his gifts. Yeah, Eve.
What was her name in Sumerian?
Inanna.
Okay.
Which means the great mother of all living. And Kaiva, of course, in the Hebrew, Eve means the mother of all life, all living.
Same deal.
Anki, on heaven, ki, geology, earth, the Lord, master of heaven and earth. I believe that God bestowed upon Enki this great cherub at one time, a high title, and he, of course, fell. So this is the Sumerian account, I believe, the side profile of this older story, which took place. I think we have in a genius form in the biblical account, and we have a very prolific account in the story of Inanna and Enki. So
and that's really interesting that even right there, the word, right, going back to the origins and the sin, like that's the very first sin, and then the first thing that in the beginning was the Word, but then the Word became flesh. Can you go on? How does that tie in with Christ?
Okay, sure. So perfect. So the Word became flesh. Well, the Word became flesh. That was used by John. John obviously knew of the formulas that the Greeks were looking for this logos. Plato had used the term logos. That if God exists, logos would be his name. Many Greek mystics were looking for a type of embodied logos. They were looking for something. It was not something so strange to the Greek mind that logos would become flesh. So if anything could categorize all things, put into an ology, biology, sociology, if everything could be categorized and governed, it would have to be logos. It would have to be such a God with such a mind to be able to put all things in their proper perspective, all things right. That was what Aristotle and Plato were trying to do. They were trying to put all things in the proper category, or the proper ology, the suffixual ology.
Logos meaning study of?
Yes,
okay.
Study and to categorize of. Now, hence the word to categorize, to assess, to place. That's the word for judge again. That's the word for judgment. That's the word for doom.
So it literally is just tied throughout from Sumerian to the modern Greek and then to our thought.
That's the point. You can't get away from God's his motion, his verb. His verb is an agreement with himself. He is a verb. Ehia is the primitive form for his name, to cause to be.
I love it.
So a verb cannot contradict its own movement.
Yeah.
And his verb is found throughout all of the languages and all of morphology that language gives us to present day. That's why you can never escape it. I want to go back to the word word again, since we're looking at what that means. To the Germanic, Icelandic, Scandinavian concept of word, we have the Nornir, or the Norn sisters, Varandi, Wyrd, and Skuld. Now, Wyrd would be the first sister, or of the fate. These were the dispensers of stuff and things. Now, this is an old concept. The appropriators, that which allots people, that which allucks. You luck, your allotment, same word.
Same word for luck, you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. The maranao in the Greek, it means that which is apportioned. The Parke sisters, the ones who apportion you. God said, I am the apportioner because I'm the one who knows how to give you what you need, versus you talking to a genie, rubbing a bottle and saying, I wish for X, Y, and Z. And that's why you get the three grace sisters always. It always comes in triads. I believe that this is an unholy context for the triad of God, but which is another story we'll discuss later. But in the case for the word word, let's go back for a second to the Germanic or Icelandic idea, Scandinavian idea for word. The first of the three apportioners was the word urt, let's just say th with the compression, urt, which means that which speaks out, causes to be, but it means to cast a spell. Or a spiel, hence the word gospel, God's spiel, that which casts out and fates. Yeah. And keep in mind the idea of fatality or fate is something very interesting. It's kind of alien to the mind of, I think, a lot of Westerners. Fate to a Germanic mind, an old Germanic mind, Icelandic mind, and also a Greek mind would mean that there is chaos. And then if some person or group of people, collective, is fated, they are fated, right? All else is in chaos. And so there are many paths to go on in the land of chaos. And one can have luck in the land of chaos. But if you are fated means fatality. You have your termination, your terminal point, and that was the word skuld in the Norn sisters, the judgment, the one that shall be. Hence our word should. Whenever we say should, it should take place, we're speaking in terms of chance. Cadere in the Latin, it means that which might, this fated. Of course, as the fates should allow, have yourself a merry little Christmas, if the fates allow. But what I'm getting at is a system that exists that is either of the apportioner or the fates. Right. Going back to the Germanic fates, Wyrd was the one who was in the past, the one who spoke it. It catches all. It fates all. It fates you to your fatality. Same word. Again, Varandi, the one who is coming to be. Probably the idea is the verb, the one that be, the fate that controls the present day, the expression of present day fatalism. well, if you drop a pen or you get in a wreck, well, guess the fate, that was the fate that would happen, or that was my bad luck. That would be the verity of your day. Then Skuld, like I said before, is the goddess of the future, that which should be, and that is your final judgment. And to the Germanic mind, that which should be. So we have adopted the word should into our vocabulary, which is a Germanic pagan fate. So, we need to really pay attention to that whenever we're speaking in terms of, anything with sense.
Sure.
As a Christian. So, all of these three together were called the Wyrding or the Wielding Sisters, hence the word witch, that which wields.
Yeah.
That which persuades, that which governs, guides.
Goes outside the realm of the king's dominion and enters its own word area.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting because I see 1,000 different strands that you could pull on this.
Oh, yeah.
I look at predestination, I look at theodicy. That just makes sense in that context of God's dominion over there. I was talking to my friend, he's a video game designer, and he's talking about how there's linear paths in video games, right? Yeah. And we don't want to see the linear path.
Right.
Because in order to give that illusion of chance and illusion of choice, you have to say, okay, you can go this way, you can go this way. But at the end of the day, if you want structure, if you want it to be able to be designed properly, there is a path.
That's beautiful.
It's so crazy how that works. And we see that even in the word Wyrd.
Yeah.
We're going from the origins where the devil, I guess, not screws things up. I guess the devil, he's ordained. I got to do this, but we could get into the weeds on that.
So, we got a lot more to say.
Man, context, it's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. We're going to be going for quite a while here, and what the next word we're probably going to look at, I forget what we had lined up last time.
I'm not quite sure. That's your job.
As Kyle stirs his coffee. But there's so many ways we can go, and we're going to be posting this on all your podcasting sites, hither and thither and yon. I don't know what any of those words mean, but we could go into each one of those for 40 minutes. So, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed and have a blessed day. And subscribe, have a lot of fun, share, all the good stuff. You have anything to say?
No, that would be it. Thank you.
God bless.